pumpkins, costumes, and a mountain of candy. Think that's Halloween? Think again. The fun, safe holiday you love is almost entirely a modern invention. The real story of this night isn't in the candy aisle. It's buried in forgotten rituals and genuine bone-chilling fear. What if I told you your cheerful jack-o'-lantern has a truly gruesome origin? Or that trick-or-treating began as something far more unsettling than a kid in a costume asking for a Snickers? Tonight we're ripping the mask off Halloween. We're going back 2,000 years to a time when the line between our world and the next was terrifyingly thin. This isn't just a history lesson, it's the story of how ancient terror became your favorite holiday. Here we uncover the strange and often terrifying beginnings of the traditions you cherish. It all starts over 2,000 years ago with the ancient Celts in places like Ireland and Scotland. They had a festival that marked the end of their year called Samhain, spelt Samhain, and this was no party. Samhain marked the end of the harvest and the beginning of the darker half of the year, winter. For the Celts, this wasn't just a change in season, it was a time of death. They believed that on October 31st, the boundary between the world of the living and the other world became paper thin. Spirits could pass right through. This was a time of immense power and incredible danger. Sure, the souls of ancestors might revisit, and families would leave out food and drink for them, but it wasn't just friendly ghosts. Malevolent spirits and restless ghouls were also believed to roam the earth, looking to cause trouble. To protect themselves, the Celts lit massive communal bonfires on hilltops. Villagers would extinguish their home fires and relight them from this sacred flame to banish evil. They often threw the bones of slaughtered cattle into the blaze, which is how we got the word bonfire, literally a bone fire. And what about costumes? That tradition was born from pure fear. To go outside on Samhain night was to risk meeting a spirit that meant you harm. So people wore disguises, grotesque masks and animal hides to blend in. The idea was terrifyingly simple. If you look like a spirit, the real spirits might just leave you alone. It was spiritual camouflage. Going door to door didn't start with a polite trick or treat. Its ancestor was a much stranger practice known as mumming and guising. Instead of just fearing the spirits, people in Ireland and Scotland started impersonating them. This was a full-on performance. Groups of guisers would go from house to house, but they had to earn their treats. They'd recite a verse, sing a song, or tell a joke in exchange for food or drink. The costumes provided anonymity, which allowed for a night of chaos where the normal rules of society were suspended. As Christianity spread, the custom changed. During the Middle Ages, souling became popular. On All Hallows' Eve, the poor would go door to door offering to pray for a household's dead relatives. In return, they'd receive soul cakes. Each cake eaten was thought to help free a soul from purgatory. It was a solemn deal, a prayer for a pastry. Over time, the religious duty of souling blended with the rowdy mischief of guising. The prayers faded and were replaced by the offer of a trick, like a joke or song, in exchange for a treat. But that threat of the trick never completely disappeared. It carried an echo of ancient beliefs. If the spirits, or those dressed like them, weren't appeased, you might get some supernatural misfortune. The most famous symbol of Halloween has a dark and twisted family tree. The jack-o'-lantern didn't start with a pumpkin, it started with a much creepier vegetable, the turnip. Before it was a carved vegetable, jack-o'-lantern was 17th century slang for the strange flickering lights seen over bogs and marshes, what we call a will-o'-the-wisp. This idea fit perfectly with an old Irish myth about a man named Stingy Jack. Jack was a trickster who trapped the devil not once, but twice. He only freed him after the devil promised to never claim his soul. When Jack died, he was turned away from heaven for his sins, but the devil, true to his word, also barred him from hell. Doomed to wander in eternal darkness, the devil gave Jack a single burning coal to light his way, which he placed inside a hollowed-out turnip. He became Jack of the Lantern, a spirit wandering the earth forever. Inspired by this tale, people in Ireland and Scotland started carving their own lanterns to ward off Stingy Jack. They hollowed out turnips, potatoes and beets, carving grotesque faces into them. These weren't decorations. They were protective charms meant to frighten away evil. The results were small, gnarled and truly unsettling. The tradition came to America in the mid-19th century with Irish immigrants. Here, they found turnips weren't as common, but a native crop was perfect. The pumpkin. It was bigger, softer, and much easier to carve. The American jack-o'-lantern was born. The early Christian church couldn't stamp out a festival as popular as Samhain, so it used a clever strategy. If you can't beat them, rebrand them. In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III moved All Saints' Day, a day honouring saints, to November 1st. This was no accident. By placing a major Christian holiday right on top of the old pagan festival, the church could absorb its traditions. The night before, October 31st, became All Hallows' Eve, which eventually got shortened to Halloween. Later, November 2nd became All Souls' Day. This created Hallowtide, a 3-day observance. The focus shifted from appeasing angry spirits to praying for souls in purgatory. Bonfires, once lit to ward off demons, were now said to guide Christian souls. The practice of souling became the Christian version of going door to door. But the old ways never really died. The fear of ghosts, the tradition of costumes, and the belief in fortune-telling all survived. The holiday developed a split personality, one part holy, one part haunted. When Halloween arrived in America, it landed in a cultural melting pot. The traditions of Irish and Scottish immigrants began to mix with customs from other groups. German folklore about witches, English harvest parties, and superstitions from other communities all contributed to the new American Halloween. Throughout the 19th century, the night became notorious for pranks, and not always harmless ones. Historical accounts describe everything from soaped windows to serious vandalism, all reflecting the old idea that on this one night the rules are suspended. By the early 20th century, the pranking had become a huge problem. To curb the vandalism, communities started organising family-friendly parades, parties and costume contests. This was the final push that domesticated Halloween, shifting its focus from spiritual dread and mischief to a community celebration for children. Trick-or-treating was promoted as a safe alternative, and after World War II, candy companies sealed the deal. A night once defined by fear of the dead became a night defined by children demanding candy. While American-style Halloween has spread across the globe, the impulse to acknowledge the dead at this time of year is universal. Many cultures have their own ancient festivals that echo the themes of Samhain. In Mexico, Dia de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead, is a vibrant, joyful celebration to welcome the souls of deceased loved ones back for a happy reunion. In Japan, the Buddhist festival of Obon uses lanterns to guide ancestral spirits home. China has its Hungry Ghost Festival, where offerings are made to appease restless spirits. All of these global celebrations, though different, spring from the same deep-seated human need to make sense of death, to honour our ancestors, and to acknowledge that there might be more to this world than what we can see. So, from a sacred bonfire meant to banish demons to a plastic bucket filled with candy, Halloween has had quite a journey. The jack-o'-lantern on your porch is a descendant of a turnip carved to ward off a damned soul. The costume you wear is an echo of ancient people hiding from vengeful spirits. And the act of trick-or-treating is a fusion of Celtic misrule and Christian prayer. The holiday you celebrate today isn't one single story. It's a ghost of thousands of years of belief, fear, and celebration, all layered on top of each other. The ancient heart of Samhain, though faint, still beats beneath the modern fun. Next time you carve a pumpkin or hear a child shout trick or treat, you'll know the strange and ancient story that had to unfold for that moment to happen. What part of Halloween's hidden history surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed unmasking the truth behind this holiday, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more journeys into the forgotten histories of the things we think we know.